welcome to Sparkle of Light Spiritual Chat Show. My name is Alice Trevorrow and I will be your host this evening. Tonight's guest, we have Lawrence Savill, who is a spiritualist medium and who is the president of Poole Spiritualist Church in Dorset. We will have a little chat with Lawrence later on, and it'll be quite interesting because Lawrence has got years of experience, but he's also, his parents as well were the president before Lawrence took over, and the church that he runs in Dorset is very well supported, and it's also online as well. So I'm interested in finding out a little bit more about Lawrence's journey in his own spiritual development and movement. But before we go there, and before I actually bring on our lovely Judith Millar, who's also the co-host of the show too, I would like to just go over some things that are actually happening at Sparkle of Light spiritual events and anything at all that's happening with my own work or at the centre. So here is a few things that maybe you can jot down, or you can replay back if you're interested in perhaps coming along and joining us. Now, Sparkle of Light events is actually having a mediumship demonstration and also a psychic and angel card evening as well. And it will be Thursday, the 27th of June at Arden Cable Hotel in Helensburgh. So anyone who knows Helensburgh and where Arden Cable Hotel is, it is in Scotland, and it is a beautiful hotel. It's a very warm atmosphere. And if anybody would like to come along that night, it will be a great evening. The doors open at 7 o'clock. It starts at 7:30. And it finishes approximately around 9:30. There's also 2 free gifts to be won on the evening, which will be getting raffled with your e-tickets. So anybody who buys an e-ticket online or through Eventbrite or through myself, you will be given a number that will be raffled on that night, and there is 2 free gifts and prizes to be won on the night. There's also a raffle as well on the evening too, and it's going to PDSA. So anyone who is animal lovers will know as well what they do. So the raffle as well will be going on the night as well. So that is Arden Cable Hotel, Thursday 27th of June, and 7 o'clock the doors open. It will be Stuart Latimer from Helensburgh and myself that will be doing the demonstration that night. So if you've not got anything to do, come and join us. The next thing that's coming up is Ignite Your Soul Mediumship Workshop. And this is something I was very much inspired to do and by Spirit World. And in fact, so much so, I actually sat in a lovely meditation with Spirit World and came out and was inspired to write a poem about it, which I have done. And any workshop that I've been going to and people have listened to the spiritual poem, they've all said the same thing, that they felt so much inspired and uplifted after listening to the words from our beautiful Spirit World. So I will be doing a workshop there on Forget Me Not Spiritual Centre, and the owner of that is spiritual medium Jane Hutchinson. Now Jane, I was there last year and I did a demonstration. I did a Sunday service demonstration there, and I met some wonderful people and people that are still friends and I'm still in contact with today. So I'm really looking forward to my return visit and seeing them all again. So it will be, as I say, in the Forget Me Not Spiritual Centre, which is in Westfields Community Hall, Highmore Street, Hereford, Advance. I also will be doing the Sunday service as well, which will be Sunday the 4th of August. Any booking, it is in advance, so please get in touch through all my contact details that will be getting supplied and in the show. And also this goes live to podcast, Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and also it goes to various other platforms. All the information will be edited on the display. Saturday, the 24th of August, is something else coming up, and it's 7:30 till 10 p.m. And it's Heaven's Angels Share Their Sparkle with You. This is an online event as well, and it's a mediumship online event. It is myself that will be doing it. There will only be 12 allocated slots because I would like it to be a more intimate evening and everybody to get spiritual readings on that evening and healing as well. So that is Saturday, the 24th of August, 7:30 till 10, and that will be online. So if anyone's interested in that, you just get in touch. But also, Judith and I are also live tonight at 9:30. So if anybody wants to join us later on, 9:30, we will be on, and we will be doing live readings and angel card readings, spiritual readings. Judith will also be doing the physical part of mediumship, which if nobody's experienced that before, then perhaps, come on and see how you feel about it, because it has been great feedback from it. I've actually watched many as well of the videos of it as well on replay. So it is lovely. It is a nice, warm, loving experience, and it's also a little bit of something for everybody tonight. Okay, so if you want to join us, it is free. Everything's free, and all our time is free as well. So please join us, and that will be 9:30 after the show. So I don't think I've missed anything else, but maybe I have. But if I do, I'll come back to it. Okay. So next, I would like to invite on my lovely friend and host, Judith Millar. Hi, Judith.
Hi. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm okay. Yeah. Busy day, though. I've had a busy day.
I was just listening to all your announcements. Busy lady, but at the same time, nice to be busy with spirit. You couldn't ask to do anything more rewarding than to work with spirit.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And they guide you what they want you to do as well, don't they? They guide you what they want you to do, so things happen for a reason as well, if things get cancelled or things get moved to a different date, all happens for a reason.
We shouldn't get worried, or we shouldn't feel disappointed, because everything happens in divine. I always say everything happens in divine timing, and just because we aren't fully aware of what's ahead, our spirit team are quite good at guiding us, aren't they? And
they are.
Reason. I wanted to say about the 8th of July also, about Nadia, the Sparkle of Special. So I know she's away having a lovely time, and go just right. But I wanted to just, while I sing it, the other thing I wanted to do was, we touched on something last week, Alice, about something that's coming up for me, and I want to share it. So I have come for. I know you know, but
I'm excited for you. Yeah,
I'm really excited. So I'm airing it first time. Nobody knows. So it's an exclusive on the Sparkle of Light, that come next week on the 2nd of July. I will be hosting my own chat show, my own talk show on Air Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV. So you have the whole evening with myself and with Alice, because I'm 7:30 p.m. UK time on the 2nd. Every Tuesday, it will be 7:30 p.m. UK time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Then I'll come straight off the radio, and I'll be straight on to the Spiritual of Light chat show. So then we'll be chatting, we'll be doing our chats and our interviews, and then we'll also be doing our own connections with the spirit. So you've got us from
the whole of Tuesday night.
You've got us from the whole Tuesday night. Just score it off in your diary and just write Judith and Alice. Judith and Alice. But I'm really excited to share that with you. And
it's fantastic. I'm so pleased for you. I really am. I'm so pleased for you. And it's nice because when we start doing new things, because it just moves us forward. It pushes a little bit more of our boundaries, moves us forward, and that's the way it should be. Keep going forward, keep walking forward. Because if we don't, we just remain stuck.
Absolutely.
So I'm so pleased
Even
for
if
you.
it's a bit nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
it's as it should be. And this month has been an amazing month for me. I have tried to slow down this month and prioritize specific work that Spirit has been asking me to put in place, which I've been doing. But then I got accredited with a complementary medical association.
That's good. Yes. Congratulations. Yes.
Really, it's just been an amazing month. And now I will start July off with a new chapter. And it's nice because we're still sharing Spirit and that connection and that knowledge, and that's what it's about.
Exactly. So talking about knowledge, I am quite interested on our next guest, Lawrence Savill. He's a spiritual medium, and he's also president as well of his own church. So I'm quite interested in finding out Lawrence's journey, and we can ask some questions. But remember as well, anybody who is online tonight, please raise any questions at all, put it in the comment box, and I will share that, or Judith will share that to Lawrence. Okay, so let us welcome Lawrence onto the show.
Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
Are you both good?
Yeah.
Doing well.
Yes. Well, it's lovely. It's lovely to have you on to Spark of Light Spiritual Chat Show. It's an absolute honor to have you. I know that you have got years of experience, and I know as where you're sitting, for people who can see this, and it's because this is going also to audio only as well. Lawrence is actually in his own church at the moment, so it looks beautiful. It looks really nice. So tell us a little bit then, Lawrence, about the church. Tell us about the church.
Okay.
Yeah.
There used to be two spiritualist churches in Poole going back many, many, many years. And they decided to combine to make up the Poole Christian Spiritualist Church. Mm-hmm. And they had a premises not far from here near our main hospital. Then the developers wanted to buy out the premises and the land associated. And my mother, who was then the treasurer, walked into the meeting and they'd already agreed a figure of 36,000, which in those days was, a lot of money. But she walked in, she said 72. Well, the president and vice president, being of advancing years, nearly had apoplexy because they were going, what the hell are you doing? The developers went, oh, that's rather a lot of money. We'll adjourn and come back and give you a counter offer. And they came back and said, we can't do 72, so we'll give you 70. So they went, oh, that'll do. Thank you very much. And then the church spent a couple of years in rented accommodation, looking for suitable premises somewhere. One place was found, and on the morning of going up to sign the paperwork for it, they walked into the estate agent and they said, sorry, it was in this era when gazumping was going on. They said, sorry, somebody's just bought this out from under you. So it was like, oh God, this has taken 2 years to find this place. Anyway, they said, we have just had this property come on the market. It's not even in the window yet. And actually, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So, 1976, the church opened up. Where you can see the doors behind me here and that rail. Yes. That would have been the wall with the windows onto the garden for the original church.
Right.
And after a couple of years, the extension then got added on to make the main body of the church. And 5 years ago, there's another room now on the other side of those doors. So yeah, it's got a good footprint.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it's quite flexible. So not having fixed seating is a blessing because we can do all sorts of things.
Yes.
I want to say it's a lovely size.
Mm.
Very big. Nice.
Yeah. And I know that you do online as well. I know you do online as well as people attending the church.
Yes. Well, along came 2020 and thought, right, what are we going to do? And very quickly ended up, actually, this was our first platform we used, StreamYard, so I've still got a soft spot for it. We went online, we started doing services, then we discovered Zoom, so we progressed them further. Then we started doing some discussion nights, which got really popular. They were amazingly well attended. And it grew from there. And the wonderful thing is, all the people that we meet online, a lot of them now are coming to the church or working at the church. So we've just had Frederick Hagland over from Sweden, Jack and Lola from Denmark, you and Irvin down from Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Just to name just a few. So yeah, the online experience certainly has given a big boost to things. Yeah. And plus, we stream our services out live every Sunday for people to watch at home with the camera just about there.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Yeah. It's you know, it's amazing how things did open up though from 2020. Globally, you know, we have reunited so much with the world. Wouldn't you agree on that? You know, it's been quite...
Yes, definitely. We had two options, didn't we? We could just sit there with our head in our hands or go, okay, let's try and make the best of this. And yeah, it's been fascinating watching the explosion of spiritualism for good and bad on the internet now, and podcasts. We have our own podcast channel as well. They're incredibly popular because, you know, you can just have it on the background. You don't have to make an hour to sit and watch something.
Yes, that's right.
You can just sit down and listen to it. And we've got this amazing opportunity to share knowledge and discuss practices and best practices. So yeah, brilliant opportunity.
Yeah. I find that during the COVID, yes, there was the good and bad what everyone went through and what people experienced, but it opened a big door to a lot of people to discover their spiritual side. It opened that door, I feel, where people were always busy before. You know, they were out of work, they were doing all many different things, and life gets very busy and takes over. But it slowed everyone down. You know, not only did they pay more attention to each other and on what they felt, but also people got very more in tune. Even people who weren't with it before, I felt got very spiritual in their ways. Did you find that, Lawrence?
Yeah, well, suddenly we had all this access to things online that were never there before. I mean, the SNU, I know they had SNUI running before COVID, but if you weren't a member of the SNU or you weren't a member of the SNUI or knew about it, you would have never found it. But then suddenly, with the explosion on social media through channels like we're doing tonight, sharing out there, it suddenly started to bring people together. I mean, it's really, I love these little moments when I go somewhere and somebody goes, Lawrence? I just think it's great, you know, that we can actually reach out and talk with people, have these discussions. We do a Lyceum night every Saturday night, and we've had some amazing talks on there. Absolutely. A gentleman you had last week, Jason, he's with us this Saturday.
Is it?
Yeah, it's all very nefarious, isn't it? Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, Jason's lovely. He was lovely, like, wasn't he?
Yes,
Very,
yeah,
such a humbleness about him. Such
yeah,
a lovely humbleness about.
yeah.
Lovely man, lovely man.
I worked
Yeah.
with Jason when he was up in Scotland, and we done a demonstration together at schools. That's my dog barking. It's my dog this time.
Yeah, it's not me. It's not me.
If it is another cockapoo, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
Jason.
want to speak too soon.
We done a dem together, and I loved it. I loved working with him. I really did. And it was as if we'd worked together for years, but we hadn't. It was our very first time.
Yeah.
You know, a nice presence he's got. It's lovely.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he's a lovely, just very, very, just lovely, humble man. He's a lovely presence about him. So he has, yeah.
it was a shame because he was due to be one of the demonstrators at our rally weekend. But of course, with his health condition, when that started, it was sort of like, well, no, this is probably not a good idea, Jason. But he is with us next year for the rally. So,
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was saying he was enjoying getting back, and yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely to see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? The number of demonstrators who we seem to get stopped at times, don't we?
Yes, yeah.
Things happen, and it's like, yeah, it's just like we need to take a pause. But if we were up to us, we probably wouldn't take that pause.
No.
Yes,
No.
that's true.
Yeah, I think I said that last week when we were on the chat show. You know, Spirit will pull us back if we don't listen. You know, you know, because they know, you know, they want us to be working for them, and they don't want anything happening to us, so they'll pull us back. You know, it may be a wee warning, a little warning or something that we get, you know, but it's something that you have to take notice to, you know, and just kind of pull us back into saying, oh, wait a minute here. I never realised I was doing so much. I didn't realise how busy I'd been, you know, and then you stop and you think and you know.
It's weird because at times you don't, because it's something you're so passionate about and something that is so rewarding that, yeah, you don't. But Lawrence, if I could ask you, you were raised up, I know you're a spiritual Christian church. So I was brought up through the church from a child. My mum's had her faith her whole life, from when she was 6, right, growing, and she still is. She's 84 now. But she didn't understand the spiritual side until her later years. Very much her faith in the kind of Christian side, but not so much the spiritual. And it's only in her later years that she's finding a lot of comfort in both, you know, and understanding it in a bigger scale and a bigger way. What was it like for you growing up as, you know, through a spiritual family?
The thing is, us spiritualists want everybody to be a spiritualist, don't we? We want everybody to have this knowledge, this understanding and practice that we embark on every time we work with the other world. But when I was growing up, I was very fortunate, although I didn't realise it at the time, because when you're young, you don't. But I sat in many circles with what we call the old school mediums. And they were incredibly good. They were incredibly good on discipline, which I've inherited, as people will tell you. If the circle sits at 7, it sits at 7, the door's locked. And if you turn up at 1 minute past 7, you have to go home. It's as simple as that. You have that appointment. But we saw in those days a great camaraderie between the mediums. And you take it, we didn't have any social media or anything. So they had to stay in touch by phone or by meeting up and things like that. And a lot of these meetings, a lot of these circles and everything came back to this church where my mother and father were. So I was just sort of like always around it. And yeah, we had, what's her name? A lady called Jessie Nason from London. And she came down a few times. And her and my mum were like two peas in a pod. They seriously were. They look similar. They spoke similar. They smoked the same brand of cigarettes. Everything. And she was sat here one time, and I think it must have been about 12, 13. We were just sat having dinner, and she just looked at me and she went, "You've got a lot of work to do ahead of you." She said, "But now, all you need to do is go out and enjoy yourselves." And I'm just sat there thinking, oh, God, another one of my mum's strange friends. Shut up and let me get on with dinner.
You do at that age, don't you?
Yeah. But yeah, at the moment here at Poole, I actively encourage children in, because number one, I always think, do you know what? Everybody at some stage of their life is going to go through a real difficult period. If they've been to a church and they've been made to feel welcome, it will be probably a natural reaction to go back and seek that.
Yeah.
Number two, it's great for the kids to be in this energy. They absolutely love it. I'm a big kid, so I've been out and bought little tables and chairs and colouring books. And we must get rid of the pencils and put crayons in because they're less noisy. But I just remembered that. Thank you. But they're experiencing it, and it's interesting some of the stories that the parents are saying about. She's nattering away to somebody at night in bed. So go and ask her who she's talking to. Be a part of this journey. Don't suppress it. Be a part.
That's true. As a child, I didn't understand that my mum was very strong in her faith, but nobody understood it. Could it help me understand it as a child? And it is now. We went to, my mum took us, we would have went to maybe church 3 times in a day. On a Sunday, we would have went to Sunday school or meetings. But when we hit our teens, which is so nice to hear you encourage your children, it's good to encourage them, but it's also good to let them go at their pace. Because I know whenever it was us, when I hit my teens, I was going to the church meetings and going to different things, but it wasn't my mum now. It wasn't her, because my mum would never push us, but it was kind of more pressure on us then. And if anything, that pushed me away.
Yeah.
So me and my 2 sisters, we loved it. We used to go on all the outings. We used to go everywhere, but it really pushed us away. And my mum understood that. She let us find our own way. But it's nice to hear that you're encouraging children there too, because it's hard for children to be open and share what they're experiencing without people, like you say, misunderstanding them and thinking it's imagination or, and to have that support. We talk about that all the time, Alice, don't we? We believe it should be in schools. It should really, really help focus on the children, because they're all up and coming, and and that's lovely to hear.
So there used to be a children's lyceum, years ago when I was young. I can remember, I sat in my first circle at 16, but I can remember, going every Sunday to the spiritual church, and there was children's lyceums where children would go in to the lyceum, but they don't have that anymore. They've not got that anymore.
No, sadly not. There's quite a few factors, I think, involved there. Number one, the average age group of many congregations. Number two, things have tightened up now regarding children and safety and background checks and covered up. There's an awful onerous process to be able to hold that. And it's just getting the numbers in. Because, don't forget, when we had the lyceums, we were going back to the giddy days when the churches used to be packed.
Yeah, that's right.
If you weren't there half an hour before the service, forget it. You're not going to get a seat. And with that,
Isn't it? It's very different.
Incredibly different. And it needs looking at, it needs understanding, and it needs a progress being brought back into the movement.
Another aspect to it as well, though, that there is more now divorces than there were back then. So that there's a lot more single parents. So maybe they don't have anyone to watch their child for them to go into a church demonstration and sit and watch, whereas before they could have put their child into the Lyceum and they would have enjoyed their time doing what they were doing, and then the adult would go as well so you don't know, is there a problem that way as well?
I'll say there's quite a few factors. What we do here at Poole, this back area of the church where I'm sat, when we have children coming in, we always encourage parents to sit there. And if you get a bit fractious, that's fine. You can just pop out the door with them. So that works well. But yeah, the demographics of people attending the churches changes.
Yes.
But we don't see an awful lot of trying to keep up with that.
Yeah.
Which sometimes frustrates me.
Yeah.
We hear a popular battle cry of we've got to get more people, we've got to get younger people in our churches.
Yes.
And that really irritates me when I hear that.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not going to apologise. It does. It irritates me because it's like, you've got to come to me. If we want younger people engaging with this movement and finding out, guess what? We need to go out and meet people, not just in the churches or the centres. Wonderful Jack over in Denmark holds a series of discussion nights in like Starbucks and
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's going out and meeting people. You're always going to have this thing, people don't go to churches. Well, every Sunday I get between 45 and 55 people in, so don't tell me people don't go to churches. That's a cop-out. We are very good at copping out on things.
There is a lot of churches, though, Lawrence, that don't get that amount. There is a lot.
Very much so.
Yeah, and they are struggling to keep the doors open. I think it all boils down to your locality of where you live as well. Because I know some churches that are totally jam packed. And other churches, they're lucky if they've got 7 people in on the night. So that isn't going to pay their hall. It's not going to pay the everything else. So they end up they're out of pocket. So I think it just depends on where you are as well. It's nothing. I
think how spirit works as well is very changing, and it's very much changing. And I know the way I would work, but also, we've got doing the evidential, but when we're bringing in the physical, spirit are very much, they're pioneering and they're pushing modern ways, new ways, but not just but the validations, it would have been in the early 1800s, whereas now it's like, it's not the medium saying this is happening, it's the person receiving the physical themselves. And I find that, because spirit's changing things a little bit, we can be a bit impatient. We can be a bit impatient with the physical, because I can only speak for myself because of how I work. But I've always learned that to trust spirit, to do how they've taught me, and to work in the way that they've taught me. And to me, it's worth that little bit of extra time because of the connection, that physical connection, that not only are we providing the evidential, but we're providing the physical. We're providing that. And I think sometimes, as Lawrence said, we have to move forward with the churches. We need to also move forward with the way we work with spirit, and maybe be a bit more patient to let them show what they, new ways they want to work.
Very much so. Going back to You know, you see some churches struggling and some are jam-packed. We need to look at what are these churches doing. You know, I've been so intense and so focused on my church, I've tended not to go out. But recently with guests over, we did end up going around different areas. And I'll be totally honest, some of the services I just thought, well, if I was a newcomer, I would never come back. It was just so orthodox. It was just flat. You know, where's the
Very
joy?
rigid, you mean? Very, like, is that what you mean?
Nah, I can't agree with you on that, Lawrence. I'm sorry. I cannot agree with you on that. And this is the good thing about the chat show. We don't always have to agree, because I know some churches and people that run it who are very professional, very welcoming to the people coming in, but the area itself does not want this movement.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard, you know, because they see us as, and it was said to me once, we see us as witches. You know, they don't see anything spiritual about it at all, you know, and you know, and yet I know other places that very rundown area, and without being too discriminative about this, but very not professional at all. Okay. In fact, so unprofessional, you don't even get introduced as being the medium. You're just said, oh, here's so and so. Okay, I'll leave it to you. Just carry on then. You know, you don't even get introduced properly, and there's not even a chairperson sitting there. Do you know? And they are absolutely jam packed. Do you know? And it really does frustrate me, because when I had my own spiritual center, I did everything. You know, I welcomed everybody in. You know, I went aboard. You know, I had my table. I was a chairperson. I had lovely mediums that came from all over. You know, I had beautiful sandwiches and you know, and things like that afterwards. You know, it was lovely. It was really nice, and the people that came loved it, absolutely loved it. But there wasn't enough.
Sorry,
if I could just finish. So if me doing all that time, like I did that for nearly 8 years, you know, and eventually after COVID, it just kept slumping. I ended up out of pocket, but I kept doing it because I was doing it for Spirit World. And then Spirit World said to me one day, they said, it's okay, it's fine, we can move on, and we can try a different way. And that's when I started doing more online. I started then doing events, because I thought, well, if I do events, then maybe it'll get people that get maybe ready the church thing. They'll maybe start thinking, looking at this a different way, as it's not forced religion going down your throat in some way, which it never ever was at my centre. But some people's perception of it is, they think that's what it is about. You're trying to force your religion on me, and you know, it's all witches and it's bad karma, etc. And it's really makes me so cross, because it's full of love. It's love, you know.
But do you not think it is a bit of both? Because I can only use me for my experience, for example. But I know any of the spiritual churches that I do, they're really happy to have the new experience, the different ways coming forward, and I have experienced that, where it's that feeling, that warmth feeling isn't there, but I have experienced it where it is there. But my mum belongs to Methodist, and she goes to all our churches, and my mum didn't get it. You know, my mum really, she always got her faith, but she always felt, you know, she didn't understand. That's what I want to say. She didn't understand it in that way, and the spiritual side. And then when she did, you know, she was really open to it, and she was really enjoying that. And she was talking to, you know, the chairperson of the Methodist in her church, And they actually did something that they would never normally ever do. And they got me down to do an evening and to talk about, you know, our faith, our angels, our guides, our loved ones. And that was quite out of the box for a traditional church. And I actually was quite panicky because I thought, gosh, what way is this going to be taken? But I was really, really welcomed. And even though not everybody maybe what it was their thing, there was ladies and people coming over, and they were holding their hands of their loved ones. They were holding their angels' hands and and they were crying, not in a wrong way, but it was so emotional and so overwhelming in that sense of love. But at the same time, I have been to churches where I've sat like this, and I do feel uncomfortable. Nobody's being ignorant to me, but it's just a different. It's the atmospheres, it's the energies, it's as you say, the vibrations of every, and it could be the denominator. You know, it could be where the churches are, and whether people understand it or not. But I do know it can be misunderstood. But some churches are trying, you know, traditional, I mean, not spiritual, just normal churches. Some are trying to open up a wee bit more, I think.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the Life Church?
Life Church? No.
Yeah, it's called the Life Church, and it's a branch of Christianity. They have regular meetings, and the church is absolutely the Alpha course. Beg your pardon, not the Life Church. The Alpha course. They have services, and honestly, you want to see it, and it's all families. They have live music, you know, and they're showing that through change you can be successful. Yeah. Unfortunately, at times with our movement, and this confuses me intensely, that we are all sensitive beings. You can walk in a room and go, yeah, or nope. I meet people and go, hi, or go, oh.
I think, we can all say that, yeah.
Yeah. And as I say, you can go around, as I say, when we go back to the orthodoxy in spiritualism, you know, there was one place we went to recently, well, it wasn't for hymns, it was for pop songs. And if you've ever heard 8 people over the age of 80 trying to sing Spirit in the Sky, you would understand why nobody goes into our damn churches. It's got to be progressive. I understand that, but we've got to do it and manage it in a way. And the first thing we probably need to do is just be, you know, a little bit honest about things. I've loved what you were saying there, especially about going to another denomination. Because there's big scope for that. You know, why don't we're meant to be a multi-faith, inclusive society.
Yeah.
Until it comes to our churches.
Yeah.
In which case, no, we're not going to do it with them. And even within spiritualism, you know, trying to get churches in an area to talk to each other, well, forget that. You're better off locking a dog and a cat in a box. You know.
Now, I have to be honest, Lawrence. My partner didn't understand this at the time, but he did afterwards. So there's a lovely church down where I live now. It was quite a new church, and for some reason I contacted them. I kind of knew why I was contacting them, and I know I was being guided by Spirit. And I very much felt the need I would like to have went to their church just as a parishioner, not anything else. Just go in, let's be part of the service as in the chair with everybody else, and come away again, just as another number. But I very much felt it was important that I told them that I was a spiritual medium.
Yeah.
And they met me for a coffee. Yes, come up, and have a coffee. And I had said, this is what I do. I'm a spiritual medium, and I help do healing. And they were like, okay, so no. And And I says to them, I don't believe anybody should be turned away from a church. Whether it be a spiritual church, an ordinary church, or a chat, I don't believe that somebody should be told that they're not, they couldn't go. It's like me going to visit you now, go to your church. I believe everybody has the right to go in and have their service or do their prayers, whatever it is they feel they need to do.
Yeah.
And they said to me, no, it says in the Bible, and they kept trying to tell me. And then I kept saying to them, okay, so you're telling me that I must leave what I do, stop what I do, and come, then I'm allowed into your church, only if you stop. And I said, but I'm not going to stop because I'm being guided by the Spirit. And they went, you're being guided by the devil. And I said, no, Matthew, Mark, and John were mediums. They channeled the Holy Spirit. I'm not doing anything any different. And so this went on, and they were adamant that I was wrong in what I was doing. So, they were, no, we don't control. And I says, no, it's being coming across quite controlling. So I said to them anyway, look, I have to finish this up because I have to go home. And on the way out, they said to me, so are you going to stop? And I says, no, I'm not, because I'm obviously not in the right place to go to your church, because I'm being guided by Spirit and I will always follow my guidance. And they said, we have people who come to our church who don't believe in God. And I went, oh, okay. So people who don't believe in God or the divine are allowed to church, but people who do believe in the divine are not allowed to go to church.
Oh my goodness me.
Because we tell them different. And I went, so you're making them, but at the end of the day, I wasn't welcome. But
No.
I think I knew that. I think Spirit was trying to show me something, and I think that's where a lot, it's, as you say,
everybody should be made welcome. Everyone should be made welcome.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Should it be a church, a spiritual center like yours, Alice, or it's not for us to turn somebody away.
I mean, I had a lot of people when I closed it. I had a lot of people say, what we're going to do now. We loved coming here, But the thing was, though, there just wasn't enough people. There wasn't enough people. Yeah. So, and they put up the rent in the hall as well, So,
it's hard.
Yeah, and I thought I just can't sustain this anymore. I can't sustain it anymore.
See, I live in a village, and I don't think there would be enough people in the village where I live.
Yeah.
I definitely think you need to be somewhere.
I think it depends on where you are. I think it depends on where you are. A lot of it's to do with that, because, and where I had was beautiful. It was really lovely. It was a lovely center, but I think Spirit taught me. I feel, they took me on that journey. I did have a lovely time. After COVID, it did all change. But I enjoyed the experience of it, and I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing just now. Although I feel there's something else coming, I can feel a massive change coming, but I don't know what it is. I can feel it. I can feel it.
Embrace it. Yeah.
So I'm just saying, okay, I surrender and trust.
Yeah, that's the best. That's the best way, isn't it? That's the best way. Yeah.
Yeah, location does mean a lot for a church or a centre, but it's also the integration into the community. It's also about creating a community within your church.
Yeah.
We're just coming up for August, which will be the annual barbecue, which is always hotly contested, and who can outdo everybody else on the desserts, which I love. They can do that every week, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, you know what? We've got so much to offer.
Yeah.
And sad to see that the actual sort of like engagement and education with our congregations is weak or non-existent. I'd stand up at the beginning of a service, and I'm not saying I know it all and I get it all right, but I just have this passion. You know,
Yes.
and I say to people, don't sit there like it's Netflix or Disney, because you're going to get nothing out of it.
Yeah.
You know, enjoy it, because it should be an experience. Every time we work that miracle, it is an experience. But also the then ongoing lesson of, what does that mean? What does that mean to us? Where is the spiritual development of our congregation and our mediums? Because mediumship to me is a faculty. It's like driving a bus. I can learn how to do it. As we all know, there's good bus drivers and there's not so good bus drivers. But it's a faculty, but it's that invitation for us to start really delving into our connection with the other world, understanding, developing up, you know, because actually we're here on a journey, shock horror. You know, we're not here just to be giving up every Sunday and go and stand on a platform. We're here to live experience, and I want to see more of that engagement come back into the movement.
And it doesn't matter, you know, where you may feel you're at in your mediumship. Spirit is the judge of that, and it's an ongoing training. And I will continue to learn and develop and go on courses and train and continue. Anything I feel spiritually drawn to go to, I will go to. I'm a bit more now. But at first, I think you know, you went in everything. You know, you were wanting to know everything. It was just like, oh, you couldn't get enough. You know. Then when you get further down the line, then you kind of think, well, actually, I'm really quite interested in learning a bit more about this. You know, it's an ongoing development. It's an ongoing training, and mediumship also should be about developing and working on yourself too, because no matter where you are in your life, you've still got to work on yourself, you know, because there's improvement, there's growth there for us all, you know, I call this earth the school of learning, you know, you know.
But it's being open to it as well, as you say, because it's very much changing and people are working with spirit, maybe not in the way it would have been, I want to say old school, but I'm not meaning that in the wrong way, but you know, very much, you know, I know with my team, and I know what Laura and Alice, when we work together, there is always that excitement, and you know, spirit has an amazing way of bringing through not just the humor, but the passion, but the you know, the love, and all different. But it's learning to be free to be able to express that in the way your spirit team is asking you to, even if it's different from somebody else or from the norm. It's trusting and having the right guidance where you're going to have that opportunity to, yes, follow your mediumship, Lawrence, but also to be free, to be that open book to learn in the way spirit's guiding, rather than, you know, us teaching. You know, we can't teach. So trust spirit and teach, you know, learn them new ways.
Yeah, indeed. I agree with you totally there. You know, we as evidential mediums, you know, what percentage of a week do we spend actually working as an evidential medium? There's a question to ask yourself. What about the rest of that week? What about following and just sitting with spirit? What about listening to the word of spirit? And, you know, the spirit aren't going to come in and tell us exactly what we need to do, because then free will has gone out the window. So that's right. A no-no.
Yeah.
But we can get that guidance, that understanding, you know, and this is what I'm seeing a lot of is, you know, Friday night, here I am, I'm the medium, yay, go. And the rest of the time, there is nothing. There is no spirituality. There is no spiritualism. And this is another one of my hobby horses, getting back on the spiritualism side of things. We're seeing an awful lot of different things coming up, either on social media, news, TV, yada, yada, yada. But within the Poole Church, and I know a few others that are doing it, we practice spiritualism and we stick to that basics. We've got all these other wonderful things that people want to engage in. That's great, but it's not spiritualism. And that's been quite a interesting journey explaining that to people. But yeah, I just have this feeling, there's a number of people have been saying, and you just said it earlier on as well, like something's coming.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are saying something along those lines. There's something not right. There's something coming. It's gone flat. Yeah, because the world is in complete turmoil. You know, when are we going to understand that we are the creators? We have that creative power within us. And if you look at the UK and the miserable weather we've had, we've got 8 million people running around the UK being miserable as sin. And we wonder why the environment's changed. We can have somebody in a room with a bad attitude, which will change that environment within the room. So when we start talking on bigger concepts of that, yes, it is going to infect our environment.
Yeah.
Because
I kind of feel though with me, I feel something's coming, but I don't feel. I mean, for me, I mean like there's something changing within my own spiritual mediumship. Something that's what I feel. I don't mean that something's coming in the world, you know. Yeah, I mean within me. I feel I'm talking about me personally.
Yeah.
Me personally, I feel there's something changing in my mediumship. There's something changing in the spiritual work that I'm doing, you know, because I just feel as if I'm getting pulled away from one thing that I've did for years. And I feel a bit at the moment, I mean, I'm doing this now and I would never, ever thought I'd ever do this, ever, you know, this is very new for me, but I'm doing it because I want to kind of spread the word out, you know, about your spirit, about life after death, about people who are grieving, who perhaps maybe feel the loved one's gone and they'll never ever see or hear from them again. I just feel for grief, it's something that is very, very welcomed. But for me personally, when I say I feel something's coming, I mean, I feel something's coming for me. I feel there's something changing for me, but I don't know what it is, and that, but I don't mean actually the world itself. I just mean personally. And there's many people that will feel like you feel a bit stuck. You can a wee bit in limbo, but I feel there's a change. I feel there's something happening with me, and it feels nice. It doesn't feel bad. It feels nice. It feels exciting, but I just don't know what it is. But I just can feel that, I can feel it. I can't. It's hard to explain, But
there's a lot. There is a lot coming. There's a lot coming, and a lot going to change. And Spirit always said about the first half of this year was going to be pretty crazy, and it has been pretty hectic so far. The second half is going to be a different league again. There's going to be changes this year that's going to affect the whole world. But it has to happen, and everyone within our world will be affected. But our world will always survive. This is the school. People worry about the end of the world and this school. This is always going to survive in one way or another. Because we're always coming here to learn. We're coming here to learn and make a difference. So, but I love that exciting feeling, Alice. I love that exciting feeling because even if we don't know exactly what, we just know to trust. And let it unfold. And sure, that's part of the journey. It's nice, isn't it?
Interesting thing you said there about the world. I mean, because we got to ask the question, what is the world? The world is the opinion of 7.95 billion people.
Yeah.
Every single one of them has got their own viewpoint in the world.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at the world, are we talking really about our perception of the world, where we are, what we're doing, how we are progressing as spiritual beings, or not?
Yeah.
But we could also truly, and we can say that no one ever truly knows the same person. Like I know Alice in the way I know Alice, you know, your husband, your children, your daughters, your friends, Lawrence, the same with you. Everyone knows us in their way and their perception, and
That's right.
and it's multifaceted, isn't it, really, when you think of it, the world and our journeys and us.
I feel within our part of the world, the spiritualism part of the world, we have this great opportunity now to have another resurgence, as it did after the First World War, as it did after the Second World War, where there is so much doubt and fear and worry out there. We have this opportunity to present spiritualism in an educated way. Now, when I say that, because I am getting a little bit tired of the endless demonstrations of sometimes just very poor psychism, and everybody going, "Oh, that was wonderful." You know, come on, get a grip.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you on that. Yeah.
We have got, you know, I say to people at the beginning of the service, you know, when your loved one comes through, remember, you've been on that path of grieving. You've been on that path of acceptance, of learning to live your life without them. And now you have an opportunity to be in their company once more. I don't know what you want out of a miracle, but pretty much, to me, you're not going to get a lot better than that.
No, you're not.
Seriously.
You're not. But it is funny, though, how people look at things differently, though. You know, I mean, when I do readings, I get many a person will come and they'll say, "Oh, you know, I really felt the presence of spirit. I loved that, you know, and I've good feedback." Then I have maybe somebody that will come and they'll say, and the reading spiritually and the evidence of who the loved one was, and also the clear sentience of the feeling of the loved one was there. But then at the end they'll say, "But you never told me, you know, what's going to happen in the future." And I said, "Well, I've told you, I'm not a fortune teller." You know, this is a spiritual mediumship reading that you're getting. You know, and occasionally, I mean, I do like to work my angel oracle cards, but I'm not doing fortune telling. I'm working with spirit world. If I'm doing a mediumship reading, it's spirit world only. If they want a kind of mediumship and psychic reading, then I will bring in some of my angel oracle cards with it, you know, on a private reading, but never ever in a public like demonstration at a church. You're working solely and you're in that presence of spirit world. And you know it because half of you feels there and half of you feels there. Do you know, it's just you're kind of just floating in the middle there. And do you know what? There's nothing any nicer. It's just amazing. I love it.
There is. But if I'm doing mediumship and spirit give a message of something's to come, I pass that.
Yeah.
You know, I pass that. I don't see myself as clairvoyant.
But that spirit giving you that.
It's always the spirit.
Spirit giving you that. I mean, spirit will give you spiritual guidance in readings. Yeah, I understand that. But what I'm talking about, like with fortune telling, some people want to know, like, you know, so you know, so is means things like I actually got one quite recently, somebody asking about a health condition and will he survive? And I was like, you know, spirit will never ever give me something like that. You know, they'll never ever give me something like, your husband will survive cancer, or you know, or your husband won't. I will never get that. I'll never get that. But I'll always get how much spirit is around that person, how much the healing is around, and the love is there to support the person who is suffering and also the family. You know, I've never received that. You know, whether I'm creating a block on that, I don't know, but I've never received it. And I can only.
I don't believe you. But if spirit tell you something, they're telling you something for a reason. It's not that it needs passed, but I believe that they aren't. You know, I personally have had occasions where spirit have gave me something, but I've not passed it, because I still believe we have a code of ethic and we have a code of conduct. Yes, absolutely. But when spirit worked with me, and I started I call it the spiritual surgery, because I know everybody calls it psychic surgery, but it never sat right with me, because I don't see, to me it's spiritual. So I remember sitting with spirit and saying, I don't like psychic surgery, and I don't mean that to offend anybody who does call it psychic surgery, but for me, that's not where I lay, or where I felt that it would be. And I said to my guides, and I said to spirit, I'm more comfortable calling it spiritual surgery, because it's not me performing the surgery. I'm holding the space, and there's a team of four surgeons, but it's spiritual. It's not. I don't see it as psychic.
No, I can understand that totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, because you're working with spirit world. You know,
like I had when I was doing one of my lives on TikTok, and I actually had a lady come forward, and it was, you know, I think we've talked about this, Alice, and her loved one wasn't well, and this was a medium who gave her gave this lady a timeline of 1 year for her loved one. And she came to me, and that lady had sat all for a full year, her in such a state, waiting for what she was told. And you should never ever put someone through that. You should never ever. That's not somebody going away with comfort, healing, and love. That's someone going away who's came in a much more distressed state, and that's wrong. You know, regardless of what spirit tell you, you might be told something for a reason, but not everything should be passed. Mm-hmm. Not everything will also.
That is very true. Sometimes we are shown things for us.
Yeah.
I had it during healing. Excuse me. The lady I was working on, I knew her mother very well. And halfway through, the mother just stepped in, which is a big no-no with me, with mediumship and healing. They don't mix, and not to be done together. But anyway, she wanted to come in. And all she said to me was she's lonely. Now, I could have done one or two things with that. You know, at the end of the session, said to the girl, "Oh, your mum was here saying you're lonely." You know, me getting my validation. Instead, we just had a conversation. I said, "Oh, how are you doing?" She, "Oh, well, you know, obviously when mum went, I've moved on and I've moved to a new area." And I said, "Oh, is it all right there?" She went, "No, I don't know anybody." And I said, "Well, that's funny, because there is a church literally round the corner from where you are." "Oh, I didn't know that." I said, "Yeah, and they're quite active. They got good little social groups and things like that." "Oh, brilliant!" And she sent me a text about 6 months later saying, "In fact, I'm having such fun here." And that was what the mum wanted.
Yeah,
that was what the mum wanted. Yeah. It didn't want me to get, you know, look at me, my validation. Your mother's here and saying you're lonely.
That's true. A lot of people, it's deciphering. Are we doing it for validation for ourselves? Because we want to prove to others what we can do, or prove to ourselves, or do we follow what spirit is giving us and guiding us? And I just think that lady, what that lady went through is wrong. It's very sad. Yeah.
It's wrong and unforgivable when people do these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is.
Yeah.
So for you, Lawrence, when did you get your first spiritual connection? Was it when you were a child? For me, I was a child. I think I was about 3 at the time, about 3 years ago.
The first mediumistic connection. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know spirit though. I didn't know spirit. I remember quite a lot when I was 3 years of age, but I didn't realize it was spirit world. I thought these people were real.
Oh, right. No, I didn't have anything like that. I used to sit in circle from about the age of 13.
Yes.
And that was interesting because I just thought, this is my imagination. In fact, I just sat there thinking, I'm going to make something up. And I would say it, and people would go, "That's right," and I'm going, "What's this ridiculous?" I'm sat here actively trying to. One of the circle leaders, there were twin sisters. And I seriously, in my mind, I made this up. I said, "Oh, you've got a knight in shining armor on a horse next to you." And she went, "That's my guide." And I'm like, "What the bloody hell's going on here?" I keep making stuff up, and people are going, "No, well, that's right." I'm just they're all mad, a lot of them.
You do. It's even now, Spirit. I find it's nice to get that. Okay, we never need to understand that message ourselves. Sure, we don't. It's down. It's really for the person receiving it. But I never had as good an experience as that at your age, Lawrence. When you were 13, I have to say, no, I found it quite scary, quite lonely, in the sense that I had friends and I had teenage friends and school friends, but I never had the separation. I never had people that I could just be myself with, and other people I could say, "Look, do you understand this? Can you talk to me?" Did you have that, Alice? I never had that. Not in a spiritual sense, like Lawrence.
No. I was well. I was bullied at school when I was in primary school. I was bullied in primary school because I think children see me as being a bit different. I don't know why, but they did. And I think, instead of not knowing what to do with it, it was bullying that came out because they thought I was different, because I didn't want to kind of do all the things that they wanted to do. And even the same in high school, I just went away along and did my own thing. But then I would just have maybe 2 or 3 friends, and I was happy with them, whereas you'd have other ones and groups of friends. That was never me, and it's still not me. So I think, I think it's just the way it is, really, isn't it? You just,
I remember as a child, and I wouldn't have been 13, and probably would have been a bit younger, and I'm giggling because as you're saying that, I'm being shown this memory, and I can remember asking my mum. Nobody would believe that, like, I was showing people and saying things, and nobody was saying what I was saying. And I can remember saying to my mum, there was a magazine came out on TV, it was like advertised on TV at the time, and it was to do with like crime, and you had a fingerprint pad, and you had the magnifying glass, and and like a pad, but so you thought you were a detective. And I remember as I would have called myself a child, thinking I was going to find these clues, trying to solve what nobody else could see. But again, I wasn't understanding it to what it was.
Yeah.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because when being exposed at that early age, when I went on to live my life and do what I did, I was working in bars, running restaurants, nightclubs, things like that in London and abroad. But I always had an amazing intuition, and people commented on it, and I never noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
I would just daft things, to say with the restaurant, say Thursday night's going to be really busy and need some more staff in. Why? Because it is. It's just going to be a busy night. And sure enough, it would be a bit. Yeah. And just sitting and talking with people, because my mind would just go off, and I'd suddenly find myself not really recollecting what I've been saying, but the people I've been talking to are just sat there going, "That's really good. That's really interesting." Nothing to do with spiritualism.
No.
But yeah, so it is wonderful when people get exposed at an early age. It does awaken those senses within. But it wasn't until I moved back down here in 98 that I really got back into circle work, development, self-development, and things. Never easy, is it? And we I like what you said earlier. It's not our message, but don't we sometimes wish it was? Don't we sometimes wish I just want to really know everything about what's just been said, because it sounds really interesting.
You know, you touched on the children and being more open with the children, and I can remember. I don't normally give readings from my home, but I must have been somebody that I would come in and out of my home. But I can remember, I was looking after my grandson at the time, and he's 11 now, so he would have been about 6 years. He would have been 6 or 7 then, and he's very spiritual. And I you know, we never remember messages or whatever unless there's a lesson. And I can remember I was describing a person, and it was a girl. I was describing to this girl, and I'd sent my grandson into another room with pens and pencils and said crayons, and said to him, you know, you wait there for Nanny, and when Nanny's finished, Nanny will be able to come in. And I can remember there was a girl coming forward, and I can remember she was wearing a t-shirt with a butterfly on it, and she was wearing jeans, and I can't remember what else, but my grandson was nowhere near me, and he could even hear. And when we finished, I came through the different rooms and went to walk past, and the girl stopped, and she went, "Do you see?" And my grandson drew the image, the girl, the butterfly on the top, the jean. He drew everything that I had described to that girl. And he is very, but then we're very open with him. And I think I just learned because we didn't have that, you know, we didn't have that understanding. And probably the same with your granddaughter, Alice. You know, it's I think it's good.
We've got a young gentleman comes to our open development circle with his mum, and he's got quite severe ADHD. So it is very difficult for him to work with other people the way, you know, because I split everybody up into twos. He finds it very uncomfortable because new people are one of his triggers. Also, some of the people coming into the church don't have that sort of exposure to these conditions and don't really know how to react. So I thought, what can we do? So we had Poole down who did a colour workshop, and he was doing really well on the colour because I'd already noticed there's something about colour in him. So I said to him, his mum, I said, if you want to bring him to the colour workshop, do slip in the side, don't worry about paying because I know money's a bit tight. But he'll sit there regularly, and I'll say, when I've got everybody working, I'll say, just tune in with those people there. And the amount of evidence he sits there and draws is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It really is. It's just
so lovely.
Yeah.
Alice, would you not bring children into your workshops and the workshops you're doing up your end? You know, because I know you've actively got workshops going on up in Scotland too.
Well,
consider doing a teenage one maybe, or specifically designed for young ones?
No, I wouldn't just now because of the legalities of so much that's going on with it at this moment in time. Then no, I wouldn't. No.
See, I help my grandson. I teach my grandson. I help my grandson. I have
fine,
to.
But there is legalities involved in it. There is. And I mean, I have just finished 2 courses on the SNU as well. So I wouldn't want to do anything to kind of. I'd need to look at the ethics, the law, etc.
You don't work SNU, so how would that impact you?
You know, well, it would because it's still to do with I'm still a member, and it's still also to do with the legalities, whether you're SNU or not. You know, I mean, I don't know about you, Lawrence. I mean, do you do children's workshops?
No.
I'm not meaning children. I'm meaning like teens. I'm meaning like 13 to 19, something like that, teens.
Yeah, young adults. I've often thought though,
teenagers. What are you talking about? Under 18s?
Yeah. No, 13, like age 13 to 19. My grandson's 11, but he's teaching himself.
They can come into any workshop. They can come into any workshop if they're 19 or 18. They can come.
No, but what about 13 or 14 or 15 or 16 and the parent came and the parent said, look, my child is learning this themselves. I would rather somebody guide them in the right way.
But that's different. Now you've mentioned the adult being present. So if the adult is present, then that's completely different. But no, you said, would I have a children's workshop? So that would be no. But if I was having the parent there, then it would be all right to do that.
Yeah, but the parent's going to come because you would have to have the parents' consent, anyway. But the parent might not be sitting in the circle, but might bring their teenager and say, "Look, can you help my teenager?" And I'll come back. That's what I mean.
I haven't done it, and as I say, I'd have to look at the legalities of it.
Yeah.
What about you, Lawrence? What would your thought be on it?
Well, I think instead of reinventing the wheel and doing those workshops ourselves in our own premises, I think there's probably a very good scope to be able to approach universities and schools and say, listen, I can give a talk on that. So you're operating under the school banner.
And I do know a few people that do that, that go into schools. I know there's people that do that.
I think that really a lot of people should be given that opportunity in school because I think it makes a massive difference. So it would.
But certainly I think it's something that should be brought in more is working with children, because let's face it, if we can look at the life that's coming for them, if they can look at life a little bit differently and with a different kind of approach to life, then you're only doing good. You're not doing any harm, but you will get people who would not agree with it. You would get people who wouldn't agree with it, but that's life. You're not going to agree with everybody, but it's not something I've thought about doing with children. I've only did it with adults, and I mean, there has been 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds in it as well. Anybody younger than that, at like maybe 12, 13, 14, then no, I'd have to look at the legalities on that.
So what would you do, Alice, if Spirit came forward and said to you, okay, we need to build the army of light. We need to help these children. We need to help them progress. And in the old, more rigid ties, so what does SNU? Says no, but your spirit team says yes, go forward and help build that light. And parents is there. Would you go with Spirit, or would you still worry about other organizations? Personally, I would go with Spirit.
Well, yeah, you would. I know you would, but
you
also be careful as well. You can get sued the pants off, because you could easily get sued the pants off as well.
I would trust Spirit. If Spirit said that was the way forward, I would trust Spirit, because they're not going to ask us to do something that's going to get us into a lot of trouble. So I would trust Spirit.
I would have to look at it's not that something I wouldn't want to do, it's something I would like to do, but I'd still have to look at the legalities of it as well, because I don't want to be Spirit haven't came to me with that yet, so it's but if they did come to me with it, then I
think you're going to. I want to say that.
But I think if they did come to me with it, then I would know with my own feeling and how I felt with it. But when you're looking at like what ifs and what would you, then at this moment in time I'd probably say no to it.
I'd say yeah.
Yeah, but I would have to think about how it came across. It's not that I don't want to you have to also think about the laws and ethics as well.
Oh yeah, I know that. But as Anne Millett has said, start with meditation.
And I'm going to be the first one to get my ass kicked. So
yeah,
it's 20 past 5. It's 20 past 9. It's 25 past 9.
Yeah, there's different ways to integrate it. There's different ways.
I do like Anne's comment there about start with meditation classes. I think that's a wonderful. Thank you, Anne. That's really good.
Yeah, well, that's fine. You mean starting meditation classes is fine. It doesn't mean to say you're sitting in the power of the spirit world, though.
But you can help teenagers learn Reiki. That's opening you in a way to spirit. Also, there's a lot of ways like meditation, like self-healing. Self-healing is opening that door to spirit. So I'm not saying bring a child in and say, right, come on, seance. I don't mean it like that.
Give me a message now.
There's so many ways of integrating our children into work with their spirit teams. That I play grounding games and all and they don't know they're grounding and they don't know that and there's loads. Yeah, there's that's what I mean.
That's not like a workshop you're doing, though. That's completely different.
Well, you can do children's workshops. You can do meditation workshops. You can do.
But meditation workshops is completely different than having a spiritual mediumship workshop.
No, I don't mean a spiritual mediumship workshop. I mean workshops and helping children, just opening the spiritual.
Yeah. I mean, that's completely different. That's
what I've been meaning. That's what I've been meaning. Yeah.
That's completely different. If you're doing meditation and also you can do relaxation, you can do drawings with it, you can do music, you can interact with the music.
You do the body dancing and you're moving your shadow. Yeah, there's loads. Yeah.
The way I was receiving it from you was, would I do a children's workshop, like with a spiritual children's workshop? No,
not mediumship with that. But no. Incorporating them in ways to work with their spiritual side. Yeah. So
I love children, and I've got a grandchild as well, and I'd love to work more with that. I would love to work more with it. But we've also got to be careful as well, because as professionals, we've got to be professional, and we've also got to remember the laws and the ethics behind many, many things, because we've got to protect our children as well. That's my thoughts on it. But we're well over time again, and and we were meant to be starting our mediumship at 9:30. So I'm sorry, guys, but we're going to be late.
All good topics. All good topics.
It's not but we're going to be late. But it's been a pleasure having you on the show, Lawrence, and it's good to have a chat about many different aspects.
Lovely to meet you.
And you, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. Good, interesting. It's been a good chat. Good variations. It's just good.
Yeah, it's good because it gives people a little bit of, you're planting a seed somewhere as well, so maybe that seed will grow. Maybe that seed will grow and blossom into something beautiful the way it should be. So I'm going to say thank you so much, Lawrence, for coming on to the show, and I wish you all the very best on your own spiritual journey, and maybe sometime we'll see you again in the future as well. Any last messages or thoughts to the audience before we leave?
Well, just out from this conversation, it's just crossed my mind. How many spiritual books are there for children out there?
Yeah.
How many books are out there that we can sort of like gently. So any budding authors watching tonight, there you go. There's a market that's not been covered yet.
Yeah.
You're right. Absolutely right. Yeah, spot on in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And every avenue is a good avenue.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Oh, you're all lit up, Lawrence. You're all lit up.
Yeah. So it's lovely seeing you again, Lawrence. And you take care of yourself. and all my love to the church as well. So good night, and
Thank you.
God bless.
Good night.
Good night.